Hey friend, how you been? This is part 2 to finding creative inspiration when you are in a slump, a drought, a rut, whatever you want to call it. I'll put the link to part 1 up above. Click that link if you haven't seen it, and I'll also put the link down in the description. If you want to watch the first one and you want even more tips, check out that video. But let's get into this one. So the first thing I want to talk about when it comes to finding creative inspiration, we all have moments where we are just lacking creatively and we just need a little bit of a boost. So these are just some tips to help push you, a little bit towards the creative spark, creative inspiration, creative flow. These are some things that I do personally that help me. So I want to share them with you all. So the first thing I have on the list is journaling. And you may say, what does that have to do with making art and creativity? And for that, I will say, sometimes the one thing blocking your creative spark, your creative inspiration, your creative flow is the mind. I feel like the mind be busy. The mind is busy, okay? I'll speak for myself, but I feel like a lot of creatives can relate to this. As creatives and artists, we tend to be a little overthinkers. We overthink a lot. The mind is very active, the mind is very busy, and journaling is just a way to write all those things down to get them from here out of there, right, onto paper. So then you could free up more space in your mind and have more focus and more energy and more of a mental load to spend on your creative processes and your creative projects. So I recommend just kind of I call it free writing, where you just kind of write down whatever comes to mind. Actually, they may even be a good thing to add to your creative process before you even start a project, just writing down, especially if you feel like you can't really get in the mood to create. Just sitting down and just writing out whatever is going on in your head, whatever's going on in your life at the moment, just writing it all out, putting it onto paper, because a lot of times it's just what we need. We need to find a way to get it out, right?
Even some journal. I hope you all can hear me because there's so much going on outside right now. Yo, it is loud. Okay, I'm getting distracted. They're literally doing construction outside. I don't even know what I was saying.
I feel like journaling helps create a bit of stillness and calmness in the mind. So speaking of stillness, that's the next tip. Stillness is key. This just goes right into it. I was going to say the world can be very busy. The world can be very loud sometimes, as we just saw with all the construction going on outside. The world is going to keep spinning. The world is going to keep moving. And sometimes things can be busy. Things can be loud. Things can be distracting, right? So it's important to find that time to create stillness in your own space and in your own life, so you can create better and create more. Just taking time to connect with yourself and your higher self. Just having some quiet time to yourself without the chatter and the noise of the world filling your mind. Just taking time to quiet yourself, quiet your space, and literally just sit still in silence. I know it can be hard sometimes. We live in a very overstimulated society. Taking time with just yourself, to connect with just yourself, so you can tap into your own creative source that lives within you, right? Stillness. Creating stillness in your routine and stillness in your day-to-day life, so you can have more time and space to focus on gathering inspiration and gathering that spark for the art that you want to create. My next tip, I will say, create from a new space. It's just something about a fresh vibe, a fresh flow of energy that can really shift the creative zone, right? So if you tend to create or do your creative work in a certain space, maybe move beyond that space, right? If you are, let's say you're a digital artist, maybe, taking your iPad or your computer and going to a cafe and working from there. Or even if you're a writer and you work at home, go to a cafe, go to a library. Libraries are pretty quiet. Just go somewhere different in a different space. Maybe even a nice restaurant that has I live in Chicago. They have restaurants that have different, cafe vibes, whatever, right? Or if you tend to paint or draw on paper or canvas, like go to a park and sit outside and like draw and paint out there. Like finding a new location to create can also bring about like that creative inspiration. Sometimes I feel like we may be in a rut or a drought because we are creating in the same space, maybe stuck in a certain routine. And sometimes just like switching up the flow and the space and your routine can be what you need to kind of just like bring about that spark and bring about new energy, right? You can create new things, you know? And also, speaking of going outside, speaking of creating from a new space, going outside in nature. And I don't mean just like creating in nature, I mean literally just spending time outside in nature. I feel like relaxing at a park, walking a nature trail, going to a body of water, like just spending time outside in nature and getting fresh air. I know I sound like those gurus who be like, get outside, take a walk every day. Da, da, da. I don't know. But honestly, it is actually helpful to kind of like clear your mind. And I feel like to kind of like help lighten your load, because I feel like sometimes we can be in creative ruts or creative blocks, have creative blocks. Because maybe it's just too heavy, it's just too much. And sometimes you need to just lighten the load, right? Lift off all the other stuff so you can spend more energy creating. And sometimes that means getting outside and getting some fresh air, whether you're going for a walk or just sitting down on a grassy knoll at the park, you know, listening to the birds chatter, and or going to the beach and hearing the waves of the water moving, like just spending time in nature. Because not trying to sound all woo woo, but nature is very healing. And I think it can really help with like that creative spark. There's so much art just even out in nature. You think about the trees and the grass and the flowers and the butterfly. You know, it's just so much art just in nature. Go outside, be inspired. The next tip I have is do a fun activity. A fun activity I feel like will help you like just focus on something else. I feel like sometimes we put too much pressure on like I must create now. I don't have any inspiration. I have a creative block. And I know that can be rough as creatives. I know. But focus on something else. Go do something fun. Ride a bike. Take a hike. I'm not trying to rhyme, but maybe I'm a little bit of a rapper. But seriously, ride a bike. Take a hike. Play on a swing at a park. Go swing. Like, go do something that your inner child would love. Because I feel like our inner child is like, sometimes that's our like most creative, expressive, free self, right? Go do something your inner child would love. Go to a park and swing on a swing. I literally did that like a couple months ago. I know my hips was hurting and trying to fit in that swing, but it was so fun. I really enjoyed it and it felt so freeing. And I said, oh my gosh, I think I just healed something in my inner child, because I have not done that in so long. I feel like a lot of times as adults, when we get older, whether you're an adult or not, right? I don't know. But I feel like sometimes we forget to be kids sometimes. Like we forget to like have fun and just like lighten up. So go do something fun. Go for a swim. Go to a carnival. Go to a theme park. Just do some type of fun activity where you're not even thinking about trying to create something. You're just trying to have fun. And I feel like that burst of energy can help fuel your next creative project. And speaking of like creating distractions, the next tip is honestly, forget about it. Forget about the creative block. Forget about creating new art. Forget about the creative process. Just forget about it. Remove the pressure and take an intentional break for a period of time. So choose a set period of time where you are not going to create any art. You're not going to think about why you're not creating art. You're not going to wonder why, oh my gosh, I have no ideas. No, literally take, whether it's a week, 2 weeks, a month, just set a period of time where you will just literally focus on something else. Take yourself away from that, because I feel like this will help kind of refresh your energy, renew your spirit a little bit. And I feel like it kind of removes the pressure of creating by having like an intentional period of rest. And sometimes that's just what you need. I feel like a lot of times when we take breaks from creating, sometimes it's unintentional, but there's still this nagging feeling like I need to create. I haven't made any art. Oh my gosh. Just like do yourself a favor and remove all that chatter and noise, and take an intentional break. And I know it might sound counterintuitive, but if you set a designated period of time where you're going to take a break from creating art, I feel like when you come back to it, it's more like meaningful. You're like, all right, I took my time away, whether you needed a reset, because sometimes maybe the creative rut is because you just need like a little bit of a reset. You can't just keep constantly creating without like refueling yourself, if that makes sense. Like if you're constantly putting out and you're not pouring back into yourself, like that also could cause an issue. So just like having this intentional period of rest, sabbatical. It's a sabbatical, whatever you want to call it, right? Just try that. And then my last tip that I have for this video, create in a new medium or like with some new tools. Like do something new. If you've been creating for a while, you probably have a set way of doing things, or maybe a certain art style or art medium that you use. Take a break, try something new, whether it's some new tools. Maybe you're buying, like maybe you're investing in some really good quality tools or supplies. That's one way. Or you can completely shift focus and just use a new medium. Like for me, I went from digital art to working with clay and playing with that. And while I was feeling like weird for the longest time, like, oh my gosh, I haven't created a new art in a while. Oh my gosh, I don't know. Am I really an artist if I'm not creating art? We can be a little dramatic as creatives. But I just shifted to something new. Took a ceramics class, took a wheel throwing class, and it was really fun. It was like, I feel like it's just a way to like use your creative energy for something new and something fun. And when you come back to your work, if you decide to, you have like this new outlook. You have this new way of seeing things. You have this new way of doing things, new tools, new methods, new thought processes, like all these things, right? So depending on what medium you currently work with, like if you're a traditional artist, maybe you try to learn digital art, get the iPad and the little stylus, or use Photoshop. I don't know, like, or maybe if you're a digital artist, you start painting on canvas. There's so many other things, right? You can start, what do you call it? Crocheting. I will put the link up here, but I did a video where I went to Dollar Tree and checked out their craft section. I'll put the link up here. They have so many, like if you don't want to invest a lot of money in these things, like literally to go to Dollar Tree craft section and buy a bunch of stuff and just try out some new stuff, like switch the mediums. I think that is another way to kind of like get inspiration for your creative projects, or even like revamp how you create and what you create, getting some new inspiration. Even if something as simple as coloring in a coloring book, like let your inner child just have fun and play and draw, like put some freaking paper on the wall. Oh my gosh, this just reminded me of when I was a kid. We were kids, they would have this big block of paper that they would run across the wall and you would all just sit and color on it. Like just be a kid, get some freaking finger painting going. You know what I'm saying? Like break out of the molds that you have set up for yourself and like try something new. And I feel like that could be like the good burst of energy that you need, letting your inner child come through and take over for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? You can learn a lot from your inner child, trust me. So yeah, that was it in part one. Like I said in part one, when you do get to a space where you're like ready to sit down and create again, I know it feels weird and awkward and like a little like, oh my gosh, I haven't done this in so long, or it feels like sometimes it feels like it's a lot of pressure to create something great and to create something new and fresh. Just don't put any pressure on yourself. Allow yourself to come back naturally and intentionally, like with intention. Like I'm just gonna sit, I'm gonna create. Even if you just set a block in time and say, you know what, I'm gonna sit down from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. and I'm gonna sit at this canvas or whatever mode of art you have, and I'm gonna create and see what comes of it. Set the vibe, get you some music, get you some candles, something, whatever your vibe is. I mentioned in my last video about like classical music, jazz music, set a playlist, something, right? Start off with some little sketches somewhere and before you jump into it, but just like allow yourself to have fun and let go of the pressure. And hopefully some of these tips helped you to kind of like gain some inspiration, but also like let go of all the pressure. Sometimes as artists, we can be so hard on ourselves, I feel like, and there's like so much pressure to create and do new things and create new works of art and to, go bigger and better every time. And sometimes you don't have to do that. You really don't. So if you just allow yourself to just be at peace with yourself using all these different tips, hopefully, that's something that will help you. So when you do sit down and you're ready to create again, you feel more relaxed about it. You know what I'm saying? And you already have like a creative burst and new ideas and all these things to work with so you can push forward for your next project. That's it. I'm going to leave you all with the affirmation, a little artist affirmation to help you. I trust myself to create great things. I don't need to force myself to create. It comes from within me naturally, and I trust my intuition. And when it's time to make I will make. When it's time to play, I will play. When it's time to rest, I will rest. I trust my body. I trust my intuition. I trust my spirit. And I move and flow with those things. Let it flow. Okay. I don't know. Is that too woo, y'all? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I have a playlist down below of other artist talks that I do. I love talking about different things as far as like creativity and art, positivity, inspiration, encouragement, all these things. So I'll put that playlist down below if you want to hear me talk about more things. But enjoy the rest of your day or your evening or your weekend, wherever and whenever you are watching this. And yeah, be well. Peace, y'all. Bye.